What's up guys, it's Itzel, welcome to my channel. Today we are going to be picking out my November TBR, which I'm really excited about because November has actually already started. We're just a few days in, so I really want to get these books picked out, that way I can actually sit down and read from that list. Completely unrelated, but it was pretty cold all morning, and so I was in my cute little sweater and I was thinking that was like the perfect outfit to wear for my November TBR video, and then of course shortly before filming it just got really hot. I'm literally hot in this short sleeve right now, probably because it's tight, but I had to turn my fan off or it would just be too loud, so I'm gonna really try and power through this, that way I can change into something a little more hot weather appropriate. And also a little note about the lighting, hopefully it looks fine actually, but I had to use my overhead light because I'm not getting that much light from the window. It's actually kind of a gloomy day. It's been raining. It kind of stopped raining maybe like 10 minutes ago, but it is kind of cloudy, so the lighting might be a little bit off. Oh gosh, I am actually sweating. So this month we are going to be using my TBR jar again. I think here in a few months I'm going to try and figure out a different way to pick out my TBR, but for today we are going to stick with this good old method. I did not make the jar, but I wrote the prompts and put them in this jar in a reading vlog maybe a month or so ago. And it's what we've used for all of my TBR videos, which I just started doing this in September. So I think I'm going to pick out 6 prompts this month, and fingers crossed I can get to them all. Life's been pretty busy, but the goal would be to get to all of them. I'm just going to go ahead and get started because I'm actively sweating right now, so let's do this. Read a book with a person on the cover. Okay, so I'm going to go with 1,000 Splendid Suns by Khaled Hosseini. I'm going to count this as the person on the cover. I know they're not facing the cover, but I'm pretty sure it's implied that it's a person, so we're going to go with this. Recently, I've been hearing a lot about The Kite Runner, so I've already read The Kite Runner. I thought that was a phenomenal book. I think that what the author was going for was just executed so well. I would highly recommend that book. However, for anyone who checks trigger warnings, you should definitely check them for that book. I imagine this book will be kind of similar, or at least in themes. That aside, for some reason, The Kite Runner has been brought up several times to me in the past week. I had a neighbor who told me that they recently picked it up, and then a friend came over a couple days ago and she was looking at my bookshelves, and I have The Kite Runner right over there turned out, and she was telling me that she was actually actively reading it. And then a bunch of people have recently been talking to me about The Kite Runner for some reason, or just bringing up the name at least, and so now that's been in my head, and I've been meaning to read this book. Obviously that's why I had previously picked it up, and now I'm just excited to get to it, although I don't know that excited is the right word because I'm sure it's going to have so much heartbreak and sadness and just strong emotions in this book, but I do really want to get to this. This story is set against the volatile events of Afghanistan's last 30 years. It is a tale of 2 generations of characters brought jarringly together by the tragic sweep of war, where personal lives, the struggle to survive, raise a family, find happiness, are inextricable from the history playing out around them. Sounds intense, but I'm hoping to actually finally knock this off of my physical TBR. Prompt number 2. A book that's been on your physical TBR the longest. Okay, so I've been collecting books for the past almost 3 years, I believe. So I guess the oldest one would be roughly 3 years. Let's go have a look. Okay, so this book is going to be really random, I feel like, and it is The Book of Tea by Kakuzo Okakura. Obviously I probably butchered that, but I did the best I could. This is actually a book that I was supposed to read during one of my classes in undergrad. I know that I skimmed it, but I ended up keeping it because I thought that I may be interested to read it in the future. And so this really is one of the longest books on my physical TBR because I didn't really start buying books until, or even reading books, I guess, until after I graduated from university. So this one really is kind of old. The other options I have a couple more that fall into the same type of situation, but I have literally like 2 other books. Yeah, I have 1984 and Animal Farm by George Orwell, which would also be like in my longest, well, I have already read those, so I suppose that they don't actually count, but I do want to reread them since it's been a long time because those are from high school. But yeah, so this is super random. I would be kind of shocked if some of you have heard of this book before. We'll see what I end up thinking of it. Quick little thing from the back. A Philosophy of Beauty and Tranquility, A Pathway to Zen and the Tao, a classic of world literature. So I'm excited to get to this, especially now that I am quite the tea drinker. So super random pick, but fitting for the prompt, and I'm interested to see what I think of it. Now for prompt number 3. Oh man, I already kind of opened this one, so I'm not going to count that. Okay. A book that your significant other picks out for you. Okay, so I'm not sure if I should send him a picture of some of the books I want to read, and then he just picks from those, or if I should just have him come in here and just pick one out. I would rather give him some options, but I think I'm just gonna give him free rein to just grab a book and pick it out. So I'm gonna kind of leave this down here with the books because that won't be able to happen until much later. It's currently the middle of the workday. That's why I'm able to film this, because it's during my lunch break, but yeah, we'll have to come back to that one later. Okay, so prompt number 4. I feel like these have been quite interesting. I have 2 books in mind that I would like to fit into a prompt, but I don't know that I'll be able to at this point. A book blurbed by an author you like. This makes me a little bit nervous because I haven't read that much, so I haven't read from that many authors, but let's go have a look. Okay, kind of awkward, but I can't really use that prompt because, I mean, I just like looked through the shelves, and a lot of the books that I like read, I feel like are blurbed by like literary magazines and stuff like that. And I also tend to read a lot of books that aren't so popular, so they're not typically blurbed by like popular authors or like repeat authors for me. Or I want to read like a popular book, but it's still blurbed by like other popular authors who I haven't read from, so it's kind of awkward right now because I can't really, I just looked, I mean, I didn't look through each and every one of my books, but I did look through a bunch of them, even some that I didn't really want to read this month, and I'm not finding any. So we're gonna put this back in the jar and hopefully get it again some other time when I have read from more authors, particularly popular authors, I suppose. But let's get a different prompt, number 4, and I just dropped a bunch on the floor, but we're just gonna leave them there for now. Read the next book in a series. Okay, this might be an issue because that's not true. Okay, this is the only book that I own that's the next in a series where I've already read the first book. I'm stepping on my prompts, 1 second. Okay, so this is literally my only option because I don't want to go out and buy another book, and I don't think I'm going to make it to the library anytime soon. Although I guess I could audiobook. I have a lot of first books in a series, so that would have been a good prompt to get because there are some series I want to start, but I don't have very many actual like next books in the series. I'm only really in the middle of okay, wow, I think I'm only in the middle of 2 series right now, I guess. This one, which is a Red Rising novel, there's an original Red Rising trilogy, and now there are 3 more books out which are not part of the original trilogy, but I have them and plan to read them. So I have this chonker. The only other book I think that I'm in the only other series that I'm in the middle of is I think it's called the Knock 'Em Out series. I believe it's a trilogy by Lucy Score, because I've read Things We Never Got Over, but I haven't read any more, and I do plan on continuing it. I just don't own any of the other books yet, so can't really pick that one because I don't want to go out and buy another book right now, so I think we're just gonna have to go with this one. This wasn't really the vibe that I was feeling, but honestly I think it could be, since this is a science fiction novel. I think that this second trilogy is based on completely different characters just in the same world. Maybe it's like where the last trilogy ended off. I'm not really sure, but I guess I'll tell you more so what the first trilogy is about. Basically, there is a mission to colonize Mars, at least that's what some people think, and the society is run by a caste system, so whatever like color you're born into, like literal color, like red, green, pink, gold, like whatever color you're born into. How many times have I said that? You do whatever job / responsibilities you are meant to do, like you have that specific spot in society, and so you can't really move up or down, you just have to stay within that color, and there's certain jobs you can have as that color. So the main character is a red, which is the lowest you can possibly be, and they are the ones who are colonizing Mars, and then the main character finds out some things, and then the whole story just takes off from there. So that's kind of what that's about. Now at the end of the book, that system was severely challenged. Kind of, I don't know about destroyed, maybe kind of destroyed. Honestly, I would have to read at least a synopsis of the first 3 books again just before I get into this, but that's kind of the general premise of that. So this is the next one, which is Iron Gold by Pierce Brown, and that's what I'm going to be going with this month. I do have big book fear, so that sucks, but this is 596 pages, so okay, yeah, okay, it looks like it does take off directly after the first trilogy, so that answers that. Okay, I've been talking a lot about this book. Moving on to the next prompt. I hope I get something a little bit more fun and fluffy. Oh my gosh. Read a book written 100+ years ago. I got this prompt last time and I put it back because the only things I have are classics, but I feel like with what I already have in my stack, I just don't think I want to read another classic right now. Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry, but I'm gonna fold this and put it back in because the goal is to actually stick to and complete my monthly TBR, so this is not gonna help me to get there, so I'm so sorry. We're gonna have to pick a different prompt. Okay. Come on, come on. Light and fluffy, light and fluffy. You're kidding. Read a book that will make you cry. I kind of put like cry, well really I put cry, but just because I don't actually cry in books, or at least I haven't, but I use that because I know that the implication is it's super emotional, so oh my gosh. So basically what I'm looking for is something so either like tragic or beautiful. Usually I think, ironically enough, those two are kind of intertwined, so that's kind of what I'm looking for right now. Okay, so I've got a book. We'll see if it makes me cry. Oh, this is On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous by Ocean Vuong. I've heard great things about this book, and it seems like it will probably be pretty emotional. A letter from a son to a mother who cannot read. Already. But then, a little bit lower, it says, at once a witness to the fraught yet undeniable love between a single mother and her son, it is also a brutally honest exploration of race, class, masculinity, and our current American moment, immersed as we are in addiction, violence, and trauma, but undergirded by compassion and tenderness. Honestly, I've never heard that word before. I'll have to Google that later. I hope I pronounced it correctly. Oh, this is apparently a debut novel. That's that. Okay, this is supposed to be my last prompt, but to be honest with you, I think I'm just gonna need to keep picking prompts until I get a variety of books. That way, when I'm picking out my next book, I actually have options to pick from and not just like, this kind of sad or that kind of sad, you know what I mean? Oh my gosh, read a nonfiction. I'm not a huge nonfiction reader. I do want to read more nonfiction. I hate to do this, but I already have a nonfiction book in my stack, which is the Book of Tea, so this is gonna go back in my prompt jar. Maybe I've already grabbed all of the like fun prompts and now I'm just stuck with these leftovers. But I just can't do this to myself, so let's see. Okay, we're gonna go with one of these. Oh wait, there's two in that one, so we'll go with this one. Okay, read the shortest book on your physical TBR. Okay, I'm not even sure why I entertained the idea of there being a shorter book than that. Well, I do have a shorter book, but it's a poetry book. So I don't really want to count it because poetry I usually like to read like one or a few at a time, not just read through the whole thing. So I think I'm gonna leave that out and just take this. Honestly, I know nothing about this. I just randomly picked this up from Half Price Books a while back because I wanted something from Stephen King and this seemed the least intimidating. Betrayal, Murder, Madness, Rats. Okay, 1922 is a breathtaking exploration into the dark side of human nature from the great American storyteller Stephen King. Great, so this takes place in the year 1922 and that's all I'm really going to read about it before I go into it, but once again, not quite light and fluffy, so that's 5 books, but technically 6 because of that one prompt where my partner's going to pick one out. So I am going to pick at least one more book because I want to have a good variety to actually pick from. That way I can stick to the TBR. And there's like 2 books that I really desperately want to be on there. But you know what, if I don't get a prompt for them, then maybe I'll just read them aside from the TBR. Read a currently popular book. This is actually perfect for one of the books that I want to read this month. So I will take it. That is the Pumpkin Spice Cafe by Lori Gilmore. This has been kind of everywhere, at least on BookTube, so I decided to pick it up when I saw it because I heard that it had, apparently a lot of people were having issues grabbing it because it was just out of stock, I guess. Not sure, but I saw it in store one day. This is part of that independent bookstore haul from the Northeast, and I grabbed it, and so this is one that I wanted to read during the fall time since it's the Pumpkin Spice Cafe. So this is like definitely the perfect season to read it in, and I'm glad that I was able to put it on this TBR. So I guess now we have 6, oh, this is a romance book. Small town, local farmer, and someone who jumps at the chance for a fresh start away from her very dull desk job. So kind of a classic small town romance storyline it seems like, but we'll see how the actual story goes. I do usually like to have at least one just fun, like super light, no thoughts, just words kind of book every now and then. Well, not every now and then, pretty much every month. That way I can break up things that have, you know, more depth and emotion and challenges and all that kind of stuff. So it's great that I got to get this one. So I will kind of recap the 6 books I got, but I will pop in here later when the lighting is probably much worse to tell you what the final book is that my significant other picked out. But just as a quick little recap, here we go, rapid fire if I can handle it. The Pumpkin Spice Cafe, 1922. On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous, Iron Gold, The Book of Tea, and 1,000 Splendid Suns. I'm not gonna lie, this is not the most exciting monthly TBR, but there are some good picks in there, and regardless, I'm glad to just try and get these books off of my physical TBR, and hopefully they will still provide me with a great reading month. I'll be back later to let you know what book my significant other picks out and kind of finish off with the 7 books on my physical TBR.
You can't even see my head, I'm too tall.
Oh, you gotta scoot back then.
Go all the way
Awkward.
back here.
Yeah.
You gotta come here too. This is weird.
I think you're just gonna have to squat. I forgot you were taller than the shelves.
I'll be on.
Let's just readjust here. I'm so awkward.
I know.
So first of all, excuse the lighting because it's just the overhead lighting. Not good. Anywho, this was the prompt. A book that your significant other picks out for you. So this is my significant otter.
Otter?
I'm super awkward right now, but he's gonna pick a book out for me. So.
Alright, you gotta cover your ears and look that way.
I have to cover my ears and look that way?
Yeah.
Okay.
And don't peek. No peeking.
I'm not.
Close your eyes.
I need to hurry because I'm pushing my ear so far that the backing on the earring is like stabbing me. This is so awkward.
Okay. Which hand?
Okay. That one.
You sure? Final answer? Can you see something in the reflection?
I can't, but I want to see.
I see.
Thank you.
Got it, finally sure. This arm?
Yeah.
Make sure they're both lucky. Try to film something. I see.
Yeah, what do you think? Oh my god.
Okay. Here you go.
I already picked that one.
What do you mean?
Oh, that was a stack that I already picked from.
Oh. What? You were telling me like to pick between those books, I thought.
Oh, that's so funny. No, I was telling you those are the books I already picked out.
Oh. So does that mean it is default to the other one?
I guess so.
That's no fun.
Okay, go pick another one.
Okay.
See, I feel like you took the one that was in that hand and switched it. But maybe
But what
it's
if
in
I
the
thought you'd think
same-
that, so that I didn't do that? Nope, no peeking.
You're gonna go with that hand. Goes
You want
higher
this
up.
one again?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. They're both floppy.
Which one would you pick? Which one do you think I want to pick?
I don't know. I think you'd like both of these. Alright, final answer?
Yeah.
My right, your left?
Yeah.
Okay, here you go.
Really? This is the book I wanted to read this month, but I couldn't get the prompt.
Wait, really?
Yes.
Okay, that actually wasn't scripted. That's so funny. I didn't know that. Oh, this was the other book.
Or I would have also wanted to read that
Yeah.
one. Which one did you pick up first? Like, which
What do you
one was
mean?
the same one?
Pride and Prejudice.
Uh.
Because you cheated.
Oh, he's saying I cheated because I told him that I put the classics prompt back. Yeah, but he brought up the fact that there's a lot of classics I actually want to read, and I'm like, well, that's so right. I don't know why I didn't pick a classic, but whatever, it led me to the other TBR I have, but this is what he picked out. Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett, and it's so crazy because...
There's a fairy right now.
Oh yes, we have a fairy. A fairy, okay. I wanted to read, we look so dysfunctional right now, but I really wanted to read this book this month, and I think at the beginning of the video I said there was like a few books that I was really wanting to read that I was like hoping that I'd get a prompt for, and this is one of them. So yeah, why did you pick this book?
I knew you wanted a I knew you wanted a cutesy book. I don't know, it just caught my eye, I guess. And I know you've been wanting to read that for a while, and I was
did,
like,
yeah.
well, it was like, I don't know if you wanted to read it in like the fall or just like October or like spring. I don't know. I remembered you wanted to read it for like
Yeah.
a season, and I thought it was like this season.
Yeah,
Pretty sure it's
I
fall.
like recently picked this up, like,
Because it's cozy.
I think in September, and so I did mention I wanted to read this in the fall, so you
Yeah.
remembered. Oh my gosh! Okay, you can go now.
Okay, thanks. Come on, Emma.
Well, there you have it. This is the final book in my November TBR. That is exciting. Honestly, now I'm like significantly more excited for this TBR. I think earlier I was saying that it was okay, or it was like not the best, but honestly now I'm more excited about it. I feel like this video was all over the place, but that is just what my chaotic life is usually like. I hope you enjoyed watching me pick out my November TBR with my TBR prompt jar. It's starting to get a little bit empty, so I may have to refill it here soon, or just come up with a new method of picking out my TBR. But for now, thank you for watching. Thanks for sticking around if you made it to the end of the video. I really appreciate you staying till the end and watching it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye!